Your goal isn't to buy the most expensive house you can. It's to buy a home you can comfortably afford while still enjoying your life. If you have to stretch to afford a house, you can't afford that house, period.
Who the f*** am I to tell you what to do with your money?
My name is Priya Malani, currently managing millions of hardworking dollars. Enough foreplay. Let's talk
Money.
Welcome to the F word. Smart money.
No bull.
Hey guys, let's talk Zillow porn. We've all been there, casually browsing homes just for fun. And the next thing you know, it's 1 a.m. and you're deep in a fantasy life where you live in a $6 million brownstone with heated bathroom floors and a wine cellar. Even if you're nowhere near buying a house, it's pretty much impossible to stop looking. The other day, I spent an embarrassing amount of time deep in a real estate rabbit hole after stumbling into $20 million apartments in New York City. $20 million. Ridiculous. But I couldn't stop. And then my sister, who just closed on a home, sent me listings. I was like, what are you still doing on Zillow? It's addicting. Here's the thing. Zillow porn is free. Buying a home, not so much. But when you actually start house hunting, it's alarmingly easy to justify spending more than you'd planned. For so many of us, home ownership has been sold as this pinnacle of adulthood. It's what financial security looks like. Buying a home means you've made it. It's an investment. And yeah, maybe it's a little expensive, but that's okay because real estate always goes up, right? Well, not exactly. And if you're not careful, buying a home could leave you house poor, stuck in a home you love, but a lifestyle you hate. And here's the trap. When you're crushing it in life, making great money, feeling financially responsible, buying a home feels like the right next step. You're used to making smart decisions, so why would this be any different? When a bank pre-approves you for way more than you expected, or a real estate agent starts showing you homes that are just above your price point, but so worth it, it doesn't feel reckless. It feels like the natural next step. After all, this isn't just a house, it's an investment, a wealth building move. And if you've learned anything about investing, it's that you have to go big to get a big return. So how do high earners who are smart everywhere else end up house poor? Today, I'm talking about the 3 biggest home buying mistakes that we see that land even the smartest people in this trap, so you can avoid them. If you're still weighing whether renting makes sense, check out episode 8. I break down exactly why renting isn't throwing money away mathematically. But today's episode is for those of you who are a good fit for buying and just want to make sure you don't regret it. All right, let's do it. Mistake number 1, thinking that if the bank approved it, you can afford it. When you get pre-approved for a mortgage, kind of feels like a green light to start house shopping. You know the feeling. You open the mail, you see some massive number, likely more than what you were expecting, and suddenly your search filter, your price filter on Zillow changes. The bank says you're pre-approved for $1.5 million, so obviously you start looking for $1.5 million homes. And once you look, you can't unlook. But here's what most people don't realize. Banks approve you based on your gross income, not what you actually take home and have to live off of. They don't factor in taxes, eating up 35 to 40% of your paycheck, any current savings, your car payment, childcare, student loans, life, the fact that you probably still want to do other things like travel, go out with friends, hobbies, and definitely not the ongoing costs of homeownership that they aren't responsible for, but you are. Maintenance, property taxes, insurance, that's all stuff that comes out of your take-home pay. They don't factor that in. They just see your income and say, you can totally afford this. Except, can you? It's really important to remember that banks make money by lending you more money. Their goal is to get you to borrow as much as possible, not to ensure you still have financial breathing room. Affording a mortgage doesn't mean just barely covering the monthly payment. It means having enough left over to live. And yet, this is exactly how people get house poor, trusting the bank to tell them what they can afford instead of setting their own number. So, how do you avoid this mistake? Before you even start house hunting, do your own math. Look at your take-home pay, not your gross income. Add up all your other financial priorities, saving, investing, lifestyle spending, before deciding how much you want to spend on a home. And then, this one's near impossible, but I'm going to tell you anyway, you should set your own target price before you start looking at Zillow, because then things just get out of hand. Your pre-approval amount is not how much house you can afford. It's the best case scenario for the bank and their profits. A good rule of thumb, your total monthly housing costs, mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, should stay under 30 to 35% of your take-home pay. That number isn't one size fits all, obviously, but for high earners, a lot of our clients are making six figures, they live in a big city, and the general rule of thumb that you've probably heard, 20 to 25%, that's just not reasonable for them. So we find this is the sweet spot that lets you own a home and still enjoy your life. Mistake number 2, believing it's okay to stretch for your dream home. So this is where psychology really messes with us. Once you decide to buy a home, we can rationalize spending more than we should very easily. You'll say things like, it's a forever home, we might as well get the bigger place. It's an investment, we can stretch a little. It's our dream house, we'll figure out the money stuff later. And you don't even realize it's happening because house shopping is an emotional roller coaster. You tell yourself, I won't go over budget. But then you step into a house with an open floor plan, a wine fridge, perfect lighting, and suddenly spending an extra $100,000 feels justifiable. The problem, justifying it doesn't make it affordable. If buying a home means you're stretched so thin that you're stressed about every other expense, that's not financial success, that's financial anxiety. And I know what you're thinking, but my home's an investment. So this is the biggest lie people tell themselves when they're house hunting. We're already at $1 million. What's another $50K? It's an investment. This place is over our price point, but it'll appreciate. It's fine. I get it. It's easy to justify spending more when you believe your house will make you rich one day. But you can't listen to the noise. If you hear people say that renting is throwing money away, you should remind them that a big chunk of their mortgage payment is also thrown away because it doesn't go towards owning anything. Interest, property taxes, maintenance, gone. HOA fees, don't even think about it. But most people don't factor this in. They just see their home's value go up and assume they're building wealth. But if you end up spending as much money on a home as it's worth, did you actually make any money? Or did you just tie up your cash in an expensive, illiquid asset that drains your bank account every year? So, how do you avoid this trap? First, decide how much home you can actually afford before house hunting, and then stick to it. The second you let emotions dictate your decisions, your lifestyle is toast. Second, plan for the moment that you're going to be tempted to overspend because it's going to happen. What's your strategy for saying no? Cooling off period? Do you want to sleep on it? Running the numbers again before you make an offer? Maybe you have your partner hold you accountable. Have a plan. And 3, remember, your goal isn't to buy the most expensive house you can. It's to buy a home you can comfortably afford while still enjoying your life. If you have to stretch to afford a house, you can't afford that house, period. Your home should be a place to live, not a financial strategy. Mistake number 3, ignoring the hidden costs of homeownership until it's too late. If you've ever rented, you know the drill. A pipe bursts, call the landlord. Clogged toilet, call the landlord. AC dies in the middle of August, call the landlord. That actually happened to me last year, and while I did offer to help my sweet older landlord fix it, I didn't have to because it wasn't my problem. But when you own, it's always your problem. And most people don't financially plan for any of that. They assume, if I can afford the mortgage, I'll have the money for the rest of it. I can afford the house. But the mortgage is just the beginning. Let's get into some numbers. I'm going to use $1 million home since that's a realistic price point for high earners in most major cities. So on $1 million home, let's talk down payment, 20%, that's $200K up front. And in competitive markets, you might even need more. Closing costs, 3 to 5% of the home's value. That's $30,000 to $50,000 gone instantly before you even have your keys. Maintenance and repairs. So the standard rule of thumb here is that you should plan for 1% of your home's value per year. On $1 million home, that's $10,000 annually for upkeep. And that's if nothing major breaks, like a new roof or something, or HVAC. Property taxes and insurance. These increase every single year, and you have no control over how much more you'll pay. On a $1 million home, you can expect $15,000 to $20,000 annually, depending on where you live. Furnishing and appliances. You're not just buying the house, you're buying everything inside it. And that might as well get the nicer couch mindset can get out of control real fast. Unexpected disasters. One of our clients bought a home, had no idea it was in a flood zone, and she ended up with a flooded basement twice in the same year. Homeownership? Yeah, it's not just picking out paint colors. So, how do you avoid this trap? Most importantly, I feel like I'm really hitting this home, run the numbers before you buy, not just on your mortgage, but everything else that comes with it. Next, build an emergency fund, because it's not if something breaks, it's when. And not having an emergency fund, including one that's replenished after you deplete it, leads to credit card debt that now has you owing the bank in 2 separate lanes instead of just one. And finally, we've already talked about this one. If you're stretching for the mortgage alone, you're already in the danger zone. Remember, owning a home is more than a mortgage. It's an ongoing money commitment. So before you buy, make sure you're ready for all of it. All right, let's recap. Mistake number 1, trusting the bank to tell you what you can afford. Mistake number 2, buying more house than you can afford because, quote, it's an investment. Mistake 3, ignoring the hidden costs until it's too late. Being house poor doesn't happen overnight. It happens one little justification at a time. Just a little bit more than I wanted to spend. Just one more upgrade. Just a bit of stretching, it's fine. The problem is you do this in all aspects of your life. And then one day you wake up, you're trapped in your dream home, and you're watching your paycheck disappear into mortgage payments, maintenance costs, and tax bills. This is why the smartest financial decision isn't just buying a home. It's knowing when to walk away. If you're going to buy, do it because it fits your lifestyle, not because someone told you it's a smart thing to do. Buying a home could be a good idea for plenty of people who maybe don't want to run the risk of being asked to move every year when their lease is up. Maybe they're tied to a location for their job for the foreseeable future, or maybe they just find a great school district that they're going to be sticking with for some time. But there are very few occasions outside of those where buying makes more sense than renting for a 30-something. When you're house hunting, set your price point and stick to it. Easier said than done, I know. But run the numbers on everything, not just your mortgage. And please, please, please don't let a pre-approval letter screw you into thinking that's what you can actually afford. Highly recommend Zillow has got a great mortgage calculator that will actually help you understand what you can really afford. And it'll even give you estimated monthly costs, including your average taxes and insurance, which is something I think most people were just not thinking about. Nothing feels worse than looking rich on paper and quietly panicking about your next unexpected expense. If this episode helped you, please share it with a friend. All right, see you next time. Thanks for listening to The F Word with Priya Malani. If you like what you heard, hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us a review while you're at it. We're approval junkies. Don't forget, you can find a ton of great resources, content, courses, and other freebies at stashwealth.com. Now, for the capital S stuff our lawyers want us to say. Stash Wealth is a registered investment advisor. Content presented is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to make an offer or solicitation for any specific securities, product, service, or strategy. Consult with a qualified investment advisor, that's us, before implementing any strategy. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. There, we said it.
Did I have that up?